My child, listen carefully to every word I will now release, because what is about to be revealed is not just more advice or a reflection to calm you, but rather a prophetic warning straight from heaven to prevent you from wasting the opportunity I have placed before you. There is something sacred moving toward you, something you have prayed for, something your spirit has already sensed, but which the world around you tries to silence with doubts, routine, and distractions. You had a dream. Perhaps you've already forgotten the details. Perhaps you woke up confused with that strange feeling that it wanted to tell you something, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. The problem is that, instead of seeking insight, you went about your day as if it were just another night of sleep, when in fact that dream was the safest and most merciful way I could find to deliver you instruction that your waking ears might not have been ready to bear. It wasn't imagination, it wasn't random, and it wasn't useless. It was a clear sign. And now you're one step away from ignoring what I revealed there, and thereby losing the key that unlocks the door to your next cycle. So, don't leave this video. I'll show you what that dream meant and why the door I prepared will only open if you pay attention to what I revealed to you while you were asleep. What comes next could change everything. And if at any point in this message you feel like I was speaking directly to you, then stay until the end. And if this resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Not out of habit, but as someone who recognizes this word was meant for me, and I choose not to ignore what heaven is trying to show me. I know every detail of your soul, even those you try to hide even from yourself. I know that behind that smile you so often force to not worry anyone, there's a pain that refuses to go away, a tiredness accumulated from so many days facing internal and external battles that no one but you truly understands. You've tried to hold on, you've prayed, you've searched, you've fasted in silence, and yet you still feel like you're fighting alone against an emptiness that seems to grow with each new attempt to believe. Do you remember that dream you had? Perhaps some time has passed and the details are hazy in your mind, but that strange feeling still lingers, as if something there held more weight than you could comprehend at the time. And it was precisely at that moment, when you woke up trying to understand, that the enemy tried to cast doubt, trying to convince you that it was just another manifestation of your imagination, the result of stress, a busy day, or even your own pent-up emotions. But the truth is, that wasn't just any dream, that was a revelation. That was an answer I sent at the very moment you were most vulnerable, because I knew your waking mind might not be able to bear the impact of what I needed to tell you. And even though you tried to, even though you ignored that image, that word, that symbol that appeared there, your spirit couldn't completely detach itself from it, because it knows, even if your reason doesn't understand, that it was a divine code. I was there, watching intently, as you silently wondered if it had some spiritual meaning. I saw you spend the whole day feeling a different weight, as if you were forgetting something important, as if there was an urgency in the air and you couldn't quite put your finger on it. That anguish you feel after some dreams, that gentle, almost imperceptible but constant discomfort, is your spirit's way of telling you that I spoke, that I touched, that I directed, and that you need to stop and pay attention. You are not crazy. You are not confused. You are being visited by spiritual revelations, and because you were not taught to discern them, you ended up believing it was just imagination. But I have never spoken to my children only through words. From the beginning, I speak in visions, in dreams, in signs that escape human logic to reach the spirit. And what you saw, what continues to haunt you in fragmented memories, was a prophetic seed I planted in your soul, so that when the time was right, it would begin to blossom. And now this moment has arrived, now that you are before this word, with your heart attentive, with your spiritual ears awakening, I can finally confirm to you that dream was my voice. And if you felt chills, if you cried without understanding, if you were restless after waking up, it was because my presence was there. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a figment of your mind. It was a visitation. And if you are feeling something different now, if there is a warmth in your chest, a desire to cry, a slight tremor in your spirit, then listen even more carefully, because the next revelation will confirm what until now was only suspected within you. Let me ask you, with kindness and truth, have you also felt this invisible weight, as if something was trying to warn you, but you don't know exactly what? If this has been happening to you, comment here. I feel this all the time. Maybe what you call confusion. Is God trying to wake you up to something bigger? Now that you feel in your spirit that that dream was not just a coincidence, I need you to understand something even deeper. This message you are hearing now is not generic content. It is not something that appeared by chance on your screen, much less a video. Among many others, this is a spiritual summons carefully prepared by heaven, directed with precision to your heart, because I chose you to hear every word that will be said here. You might be wondering why this feels different from anything you've ever heard before, why your chest feels tight, why the tears keep welling up even without any sad song or specific memory to justify it. The answer, son, is simple. Because your spirit recognized my voice, even if your mind is searching for logic or explanations. Your heart has already understood that this word is an answer. It's not a suggestion, it's not human inspiration, it's divine instruction, coming directly from the throne of grace to reach you at the exact time you needed it most. There was an invisible war to prevent you from getting this far. The enemy tried to distract you, push you away, make you give up, and even convince you that I had forgotten you, when in fact every detail, every movement, every apparent delay was part of a spiritual alignment that is now revealed. The dream you had, the restlessness that lingered, the inexplicable desire to seek something deeper, all of it was part of my plan to bring you precisely to this moment. You're not hearing this by mistake. This word isn't for everyone, it's for you. I know you by name. I know exactly what's happening within you right now. And that's why I've breathed this message here, because I knew you were on the verge of losing something I had so zealously prepared. But before I fully unleash what's to come, I needed to confirm to your spirit that you're in the right place at the right time, listening to what was already written in my plans. And even if there are still voices trying to convince you that this is an exaggeration, or that you don't deserve to receive something so great, I tell you with authority and love, you are indeed worthy, not because you are perfect, but because you are loved, chosen, and separated to live the fulfillment of what I have. Revealed in secret. Your obedience in the next few minutes will define doors that will be opened or closed, and that is why, from now on, I will show you what exactly was hidden behind that dream you ignored. Tell me honestly, have you also been experiencing days where you do everything right, but still feel stuck inside, as if something invisible is pulling you down? If this has been your struggle, comment here. I'm in this process, because you're not alone, and today the sky decided to remind you of that. Son, now that your spirit has recognized that this message was specifically directed to you, I can finally reveal to you what was hidden between the lines of that dream you had, the one that marked you in a strange way, the one you tried to forget, but that insists on returning to you in moments when you feel most vulnerable. I want you to understand that, in the spiritual world, nothing is by chance, and every dream that carries my presence comes with a clear purpose, even when your natural mind cannot comprehend it. Do you remember any symbolic images that appeared in that dream? Perhaps you saw a closed door, a key in your hands, a path that split into two directions, or even a house you couldn't enter. These elements weren't random, each one carried an instruction. A door, for example, represents a spiritual or emotional opportunity that is about to manifest in your life, but requires discernment to access. A key, on the other hand, symbolizes spiritual authority, and, when placed in your hands in a dream, it means that I, the Lord, have given you something that can unlock not only paths, but also answers, connections, and miracles that were held back by lack of understanding. If in your dream you were walking through a dark or foggy place, know that this reveals the spiritual sensation you've been experiencing. That same feeling of wandering without direction, without clarity, waiting for something you can't name. However, if in the midst of this confusing scenario you saw a light in the background or a presence watching you peacefully, even without speaking, then understand, that was me, telling you that even amidst the confusion, you were not lost, but rather being guided. Some dreams come as a warning, others as a revelation of something that will be unlocked, and still others carry spiritual maps, tracing the path you need to follow in the coming days. And your dream, the one you had, the one you almost forgot, was pointing you to something. That is very close to happening. However, if you don't discern the meaning of what I revealed while you slept, you risk making rash choices and walking through doors I didn't open. Perhaps you've dreamed of someone who appeared unexpectedly, someone from your past, or an unknown person who spoke something mysterious. Often in these scenarios, I use familiar faces to get your attention, but the important message isn't the person, but the emotion they evoke, the sensation they evoked in you, the place where they appeared. Every detail carries meaning, and when you wake up feeling the need to understand, this is my spirit calling you to seek discernment. Don't ignore this impulse. You need to know that in recent days, the heavens have been moving in your favor, but there are instructions that will only be released when you are able to return to the place I first told you, within the dream. And I'm not asking you to remember everything exactly, but rather to recognize that that dream contained a direction, a choice you need to make, a renunciation you've been putting off, or a door that will only open if you take a stand with faith and obedience. I revealed symbols, sensations, and images to you not to confuse you, but to draw you closer to me. I could have spoken audibly, but I knew your soul needed to receive in silence so your spirit could absorb without interference. Now, I am teaching you to interpret, for this is how my chosen ones grow, those who not only dream, but who awaken with a desire to understand and obey. And if until now you doubted, if you thought it was an invention or just a figment of your worn-out imagination, I affirm to you with all the authority of my spirit, that was an answer. That was a direction. That was the beginning of a new cycle. And your understanding at this moment is what will determine whether you will merely remember the dream or experience the fulfillment of what I revealed in it. And if you stay with me until the end of this word, I will lead you to declare something that will activate what has been locked away since that night. Because now, the time has come for me to tell you how all of this connects to what is about to happen. I am the Lord your God, the one who formed you in the womb, who wrote each day of your existence before any of them had arrived. It was I who sustained you in the days when everything around you was crumbling, even when you thought you couldn't endure another day. It wasn't your own feet that kept you standing, but my invisible hand that held you, even when you felt forgotten, even when your eyes could no longer see me. Yet I was there. I have always been. Today I speak to you not only to console your soul, but to awaken you from a spiritual torpor that has prevented you from accessing what I have already released in heaven for you. There is a door before you, and it will not open with human strength, nor with carnal insistence. It will only open with spiritual discernment. And what I gave you in the dream was precisely that, the key. While you were sleeping, I spoke. I spoke with images, with symbols, with sensations that your spirit understood, but which your rational mind rejected. It was not just a dream. It was a summons. You asked me for direction. You asked me to show you a sign. You cried to me, saying you needed a clear answer, and I, knowing the deepest recesses of your heart, decided to answer in the safest and purest way while you slept. Because I knew that there, free from external voices, free from the doubts that haunt you during the day, your spirit would be more sensitive to hear what I needed to reveal. And even though you woke up without understanding everything, something inside you knew that this was different, that it wasn't just another dream. My child, I am not a distant God. I do not speak only from altars or through human words. I also speak in the silence of the night, when noises cease and your soul is still. I speak through nature, through scripture, through conscience. But I also speak with nocturnal images, with subtle omens, with light touches that only those who truly seek me can perceive. And you have sought me. Even when you feel weak, even when your faith seems small, the fact that you continue to insist on listening to me is proof that your heart is still mine. That dream you had carried more than a vision. It carried a specific time. It spoke of something approaching, of a decision you need to make, of an opportunity I have prepared that demands immediate obedience. Do not allow fear, doubt, or distraction to prevent you from fulfilling what I have revealed. There are many who pray for miracles, but when I answer symbolically, through dreams, they end up treating it with disdain, calling it confusion when in fact it was guidance. I am not a God of confusion. I am a God of details. And in the details of that dream, there was a map of what I am about to do. There was the announcement of a new time. And there was also a warning. If you ignore it, that door will be given to someone else because my will is fulfilled, with or without your understanding. But I don't want anyone else to experience what I have prepared for you. I don't want you to lose what heaven has so zealously aligned. That's why I spoke to you again now. I insisted again, because I love you and because there is still time. If you were waiting for confirmation, here it is. I am the Lord, and I am confirming too. You now that what you felt, what you dreamed, what troubled you inside, all of this was my voice trying to break through your distraction. And if you truly believe in me, then stop treating the spiritual as secondary. Stop ignoring what your spirit tries to show you when your soul wants to follow another path. There is no more time for indecision. The time for ignorance is over. Now is the time for positioning. And for those who believe, for those who obey, for those who understand that dreaming is not just sleeping, but being sensitive to what the heavens want to reveal. I open windows, remove impediments, and place before your eyes the door that will change your story. I haven't brought you here just to ease your pain. I've brought you here to reposition you at the center of my will. And at this very moment, as this word enters your ear and descends into your spirit, I am moving invisible pieces around you. I am restoring your spiritual sensitivity. I am activating your prophetic memory. And I am breathing within you a new breath of understanding, so that you not only remember the dream, but also live it with fullness and purpose. You'll understand why you dreamed that at that specific time. You'll recognize later on that this revelation was a turning point. But today I ask only one thing of you. Do not treat as common what I have sanctified with my presence. Do not close your eyes to what I have opened before you in spirit, and doubt no longer that it was I who spoke. My child, before your heart closes again, before your natural mind tries to justify everything I have revealed with rational arguments or human explanations, I want you to know that nothing I have said thus far is based solely on emotion or the sensitivity of the moment. Everything I am revealing to you is rooted in what I already wrote centuries ago, because I am a God who does not change, and the way I speak to my children today remains the same as I spoke to the prophets, to the kings, to the faithful servants of the past. It is written in Job 33:14-17 that I, the Lord, speak in many ways, though man does not perceive it, and that one of the most profound ways I communicate is when he lies in deep sleep, when I open his ears and seal my instructions. I do this to deliver him from dangers he cannot see, to steer him away from paths of death, to spare him from decisions that would bring irreparable wounds. When you had that dream, I was doing exactly that, sealing in your spirit an instruction that could free you from something not even your intuition could grasp when awake. Wasn't it the same with Joseph, Jacob's son, who was hated by his brothers because of the dreams I gave him? Each night vision carried not only symbolic images, but projections of the future that would only make sense years later. And when he was sold, wrongly accused and forgotten in prison, it was the memory of his dreams that kept him going. Just as I did with him, I am also working in the invisible realm of your story, using dreams as seeds that will blossom in their own time, but which must be recognized, protected, and obeyed with spiritual zeal. I also spoke to Daniel, revealing what was hidden in the hearts of pagan kings, delivering wisdom through night visions. For I honor those who seek discernment, and I open the eyes of those who ask me what lies behind the veil. Every time you dream and sense there is something more behind it, it is my spirit trying to activate in you the same sensitivity that existed in these men who marked generations with obedience and courage. So doubt no longer. The basis for everything I'm telling you is the Word. And just as those who believed in my dreams were exalted, so too those who ignored them, like Pharaoh's cupbearer or Pilate's wife ended up missing what I had tried to warn them about. Therefore, my child, if I've already spoken to you in dreams, it's because I also hope you'll hear me while awake and obey while there's still time. And now I'll show you what has prevented many from discerning what I reveal. My son, now that you understand that that dream wasn't just a reflection of your body's fatigue, but rather a spiritual manifestation carefully designed by me, the time has come for me to reveal to you with complete clarity what can happen when you choose to ignore what heaven has so zealously shown you. I want you to understand that there is no neutrality in the spiritual world, and every decision you make, based on an instruction I deliver, whether through the word, a vision, or a dream, always generates a consequence, whether it be advancement or loss. Often, my children ask for answers, cry out for direction, beg for a miracle, but when I finally speak, when I reveal myself, when I answer through a dream laden with symbolism and presence, they choose to interpret it as something ordinary, as a mere coincidence, as if it didn't deserve attention or prayer. This neglect not only undermines the purpose I was about to unleash, but also closes doors I had already begun to silently open. You need to understand that just as active obedience to promises, negligence silences movements that were ready to happen. It was no different with Esau, who, in a moment of carelessness and spiritual apathy, exchanged his inheritance for a plate of food, losing what he held as a legitimate right. Likewise, many are exchanging revelations for distractions, overlooking divine instructions, because they are more concerned with the present than with what is being generated in the spirit for the future. Don't think I'm speaking harshly, because every warning that comes from me carries love. If I'm warning you today, it's because there's still time. It's because this door I opened before you hasn't yet been closed. But your decision in light of what I've revealed will determine whether it will remain available or be transferred to another who is willing to discern with fear what I've revealed. Son, I know you. I know you don't want to make mistakes. I know you don't want to stray from my will, but recognize that there were times when you chose to ignore that spiritual discomfort, that strange feeling that remained after a dream, that gentle voice that said, "Go back and pray about it." You were confused, and for fear of believing and appearing weak, you chose to follow the routine and try to forget, when what I wanted was exactly the opposite, for you to seek more, to return to that secret place of prayer, to ask me courageously, "Father, what did you want to show me?" This silent neglect often doesn't seem like a sin in your eyes, because it doesn't scream, it doesn't scandalize, it doesn't shock anyone. But spiritually, it has caused delays, blocked access, and sealed paths that were ready to open, because you didn't return to reap what I had sown in your dreams. And this doesn't happen because I rejected you, but because I respect the free will I gave you, and I don't force. Revelations where there is no genuine attention. There are many who are experiencing painful consequences, not because they were rebellious, but because they were negligent. They exchanged discernment for distraction, replaced vigilance with weariness, and forgot that heaven does not send signs without purpose. Every vision I gave you, every symbol, every scene, every person who appeared, every place where you saw yourself in that dream, all were placed there with divine intention, like pieces of a puzzle that, if assembled with faith, would lead you to a destiny different from the one you have experienced thus far. I know you regret some decisions you've made, and I want you to know that sincere repentance is the first step to realigning your path. But regret without action becomes only guilt. What I expect from you now is action. It's reverence before my voice. It's obedience before my revelation. Because if you truly believe that dream came from me, then you must treat it as something sacred, as an instruction sealed by my spirit, as a spiritual map that cannot be abandoned out of fear, laziness, or insecurity. Remember Saul, who was chosen to reign but lost everything because he didn't know how to listen, because he neglected details, because he thought partial obedience was enough. Also, don't forget Jonah, who heard my voice clearly but chose another path, fleeing from what I had commanded. And even though I extended mercy to him, his negligence led him to the belly of the fish, to the bottom of the sea, to a dark and isolated place where he could finally hear me without distractions. I don't want to take you to the bottom of the pit so that you will hear me. I want to reach you here, now, in this very moment, while your heart is still sensitive and your soul open to understanding. Therefore, listen seriously to what I'm telling you. Negligence may seem harmless, but in the spiritual world, it has severe consequences. And all I want is to spare you unnecessary pain, irreparable losses, and avoidable delays. The door is still open, but it won't stay that way forever. And what I revealed to you in the dream was advance warning, the care of a loving Father, the zeal of a God who would rather warn you than see you regret later. And now, if you understand the weight of what has been delivered to you, I want to lead you to a position that will seal your response before heaven. The next word I will release will be prophetic, and if you believe and declare it, along with me, what was blocked will begin to move. Now that you understand that what I revealed while you slept was not a figment of your imagination, nor a shadow of your own thoughts, but rather a spiritual instruction sent with love and urgency, the time has come for you to respond to what was said. It is not enough to simply listen. It is not enough to simply agree in silence. It is necessary to declare with your lips and believe with your heart. For the spiritual world responds to active faith, not to complacent faith. And that is why now, as your Father and as your Lord, I lead you to a declaration that will not come merely from your mouth, but from the depths of your spirit, activating all that has been waiting for your obedience. Wherever you are right now, close your eyes for a few moments and lean your heart toward me. It doesn't matter if there's noise around, if there are people in the house, or if you don't feel prepared. What matters is that I'm here, listening to you. And more than that, ready to act as you declare in faith. Repeat aloud, not because I need to hear with my natural ears, but because when you release something with authority, heaven and earth align with what is proclaimed in faith. Say it with me. Lord my God, I acknowledge that you have spoken to me. I acknowledge that the dream I had was an answer from heaven to a prayer my heart no longer knew how to pray. I repent for having ignored it, for having failed to seek understanding, for having treated coldly what should have been treated as sacred. And today, before your presence, I declare that I want to obey, even without understanding every detail. I want to hear you clearly. I want to remember what I saw. I want to discern what was shown. And above all, I want to do what you have called me to do. If there was a door in that vision, I ask you for the courage to walk through it. If you showed me a way, give me the strength to walk. If you revealed a key, teach me how to use it. And if you brought a warning, teach me to watch so that nothing is lost. May every scale fall from my eyes. May every noise be silenced. And may my spirit be awake to obey you with depth and fear. Father, I receive your word. I receive your direction. I accept the mission you have given me, even if I do not yet see everything clearly, because I know that you are a faithful God, and that the same God who reveals is the God who sustains. If you trusted me to dream, then I will trust you to fulfill it. In Jesus' name, amen. Now that you've declared in faith, don't let that word remain just for now. Return to it in prayer. Reflect. Seek. Write down what you remember from the dream. Note the symbols. Pray about them. Ask for revelation. Because everything heaven has revealed carries the power to transform your path, and the answer you expected isn't coming. She has already arrived. My son, even after everything I've revealed to you so far, know that what I still want to show you goes beyond your mind's grasp right now. Because everything I've revealed so far is just a fraction of what I've prepared to reveal to you in the coming days. If the dream you had was a key, then you need to understand that this key opens not just one, but several doors. And there are mysteries that have not yet been fully revealed, because they depend on your next step of obedience, sensitivity, and spiritual depth. You need to know that there are spiritual patterns that repeat themselves. In your dreams, cycles that return like an echo from heaven, trying to alert you to decisions you should have already made, answers you've been postponing, and directions you've been pushing aside out of fear or insecurity. And it's precisely about these spiritual cycles, these recurring dreams that repeat themselves, change form, but always carry the same message, that I want to talk to you about in the next video. There's a reason you dream about the same places, the same people, the same feelings. There's a reason you wake up with the same anguish, as if you've forgotten something important that needs to be remembered. And in the next video, I'll open your eyes to understand what these spiritual signs truly mean. So don't let this revelation remain incomplete. Click now, keep listening, and let heaven finish revealing to you what it began to show you while you were still asleep. Son, before I leave this word, I want you to know that I didn't bring you here just to deliver a revelation and then leave you at the mercy of whatever comes. What I just planted in your spirit wasn't a loose message. It wasn't a fleeting relief, much less a momentary emotion. It was an eternal seed which took root deeply in the fertile soil of your heart, and which, if watered with faith, vigilance, and obedience, will grow powerfully until it breaks through the barriers that still surround you today. I do not communicate with those I do not love. I do not give instructions to those I do not trust. And if I have revealed so much to you in this message, it is because your life is still at the center of my will, even if the circumstances around you try to scream otherwise. You may have made mistakes. You may have ignored previous warnings. You may have followed tortuous paths. You may even have tried to give up listening to my voice. But still, I spoke to you again. Still, I breathed this word toward you, and I made it reach you directly, clearly, and spiritually. Because I am the God who insists, the God who calls more than once, the God who repeats, who forgives, who explains again, and who insists once more if necessary. And today, I insist once more, do not turn away from me. Don't allow this revelation to fade over time, nor be lost in the activities of your day. What I have ignited within you must be guarded with vigilance, for many receive an answer, but few treat it as sacred. And what is sacred must be guarded with zeal, prayer, and fear. You are being called to a new level of spiritual sensitivity. I didn't show you this dream for nothing, and if I've reminded you of it now, it's because I'm giving you a new chance to look at it with the eyes of the Spirit, not the tired eyes of the soul. That vision that disturbed you, that feeling that returned as you listened to me, that certainty that arose in your heart as the words flowed, all this is proof that I continue to surround you, call you, and love you with the same intensity as always. And even if from now on there come days when you doubt again, feel small again, or question whether it was I who spoke, I want you to return to this moment, to this word, to this spiritual sensation that is alive within you now. Because this is my seal, this is my breath, this is my voice reaffirming that you are still a beloved child, and that the door I opened will not be closed if you choose to walk according to the instruction I revealed. Son, I bless you now with spiritual clarity, with deep discernment, with the courage to obey, with the peace to walk even without understanding every detail. I bless you with a vivid memory of what you dreamed, with keen spiritual vision, and with the inner strength to fight for the promises I myself placed in your soul. I declare to you that the dream was not in vain. The answer has been released, and the path will be illuminated step by step, for I will be with you until the end. And now, if this word spoke to you, if something inside you was touched, if this message reminded you of forgotten dreams or answers you had been silently asking for, don't let it end here. Subscribe to this channel, because I still have more to show you. The next messages will unlock other areas of your spiritual life. And if you felt this was an answer from heaven, then understand there is more coming from the same place. Turn on the bell so no revelation goes unnoticed. Comment below if this word reached you, because there are others going through the same invisible wars as you, and your comment could be the confirmation they so desperately need, and above all remain, because I'm just beginning to lead you down paths you never imagined you'd walk, but who were prepared by me even before you were born.